It's been a schizophrenic week, New York City's. But the Brooklyn Nets, despite of some appearances, are rocking on all cylinders. Let's talk. Samuel, I woke up this morning at 5 a.m. to talk to Ilya and Donnie with an I, but it's a man, and some other kids, Stovchenko, and I work with engineers all around the world, and my Eastern European friends, they laugh at me. Sometimes the night after the Nets lost, you could see it on my face. They're peering into their screens in the Zoom calls and saying, that guy who tells us all the data, who makes all the data-driven decisions, that guy, he don't look right today. He looks very, very sad. But this morning, they noticed the pep on my step, Sam. They noticed that Wu-Tang was playing in the background. They noticed that I was wide awake at 5 a.m., happy, chipper. I barely slept. The Nets looked incredible. And the additions that they're making has had my morning even more joyous. How are you feeling, Samuel?
I'm doing well. I mean, I'm happy about the way they've been playing. The offense is really clicking, and they're playing. I mean, besides yesterday where the defense kind of went in and out, but most importantly, they're playing defense at times when it really matters.
Yeah.
So even though they gave up a lot of points yesterday, I think like when they had to get stops, they got stops. And the two games before that were obviously like two of their best defensive games of the season. So I think there's a lot to be happy about right now.
No, I mean, look. If you look at the way Kyrie is playing, I think our little phrase has been, Kevin Durant may be MVP in the league. I would vote for him for MVP of the league, but he's been hurt too much, and so we could talk about that a little bit later. Or he's been out too much. But Kyrie is the MVP of the Nets, and now I'm upgrading that to Kyrie is the MVP of the league. Like, people are actually tweeting that Donovan Mitchell is an MVP candidate. If he's an MVP candidate, then Kyrie Irving is the MVP for 2021. The kid is amazing. Fine, you could be a high volume shooter, high volume scorer, but to be as dominant as he is with the ball in his hand and still be shooting from the field over 50%, shooting from three over 40%, and shooting from the free throw line over 90%. This is levels of basketball New York City has never, ever seen. Efficient volume scoring, efficient volume shooting, efficient ball movement. It's a beautiful brand of basketball. Like, I can't fawn over them enough. Like, the Golden State Warriors game, I looked at it with a side eye, because I was like, the teams are mirror images. Two small teams that can't really defend with some, championship quality type players.
Totally agree.
And so for me, there was a little bit of shade and fraud in that one, right? But even in that Golden State Warriors game, hindsight being everything, right? Hindsight being 10-10, if not 20-20, and you could come off of that game not feeling too amped because the defense didn't look great, in a sense, because I felt like the Warriors pretty much was killing themselves. But last night, the Warriors, same team, same players, same injuries. No Wiseman. Who's the other kid? Their other.
Looney.
Yeah, I mean, they were in a permanent death lineup with Eve is too happy. With Draymond at the 5, And that's pretty much what the Nets do. The Nets, like, that's not a big ask for Bruce Brown to guard Draymond. And guess what? We whooped their ass, but the Sacramento Kings game was a much better a litmus test. They're not. I wouldn't call them a bogey team for the Nets, but they're one of the teams that I like. They've got Harrison Barnes, who I like. They've Marv Bags. I don't know if it's him being in Sacramento, but I'm not impressed with his game. What do you think of Marvin Bagley, by the way? Kind of sidetracking.
So I go in and out because I actually do a pre-draft NBA rankings with friends, and I had Luka 2, but I had Bagley 1. And so I get a lot of shit from some of my friends for doing that. So I still have some elite. I mean, look, I thought Luka was going to be good. I thought Bagley had like this, like Ingram, but a little bigger type game. And look, getting drafted by Sacramento is always like worst case scenario. But I mean, I like him. He had that one. I don't know if you saw that step back 3 he had. I thought was super impressive. But I also wonder. I don't know if you felt this way. I thought he looked like he was just kind of moving slower than I remembered him at Duke. Like at Duke, I thought he was like kind of quick and had like a really good first step. And yesterday, he just seemed like he was kind of like in the paint and kind of doing his thing. And like against the Nets, getting garbage points. Like, I mean, Whiteside had like a career game yesterday. Like, yeah. So I go in and out on how I feel about him.
Yeah, no, that Whiteside is shit, by the way. I like E-Money Bags. I really do. And he'd be an eye a piece, but that's not a future superstar. There were not that they had the greatest of games, but Harrison Barnes for me looked a little bit better. It's just he's a injury, career-ending injury away. Like the wind blows the wrong way, he might get hurt. Yeah. But let's get back to our Nets. I look at those 2 games. For me, the test would have been tonight's game, but it's not really because the Nets are keeping the eyes on the prize. Like the regular season doesn't matter as long as we're close enough to the top of the East. We don't care. The main thing is to get Kyrie to the playoffs healthy. Get Kevin Durant to the playoffs healthy. Harden is a tank. like sometimes I look at how Harden running, it looks like he doesn't have legs. It looks like he's just a barrel, like with feet that just that runs across the court. Like it's just a barrel and a beard. He looks like Yosemite Sam.
Yeah,
like
he does. No, you're right.
He's just like an odd shaped dude. But at the same time, what an incredible player. Like, I don't know, man. There's all these basketball tropes that I believe in. I believe you can't win a championship without defense. I believe that you have to be able to play all 4 quadrants of the game to be able to win a championship. You got to be able to play inside, shoot from 3, play have a mid-range game and get to the basket. And the Nets don't do all that stuff. They just supremely do all the other stuff. And I never saw this coming. And you know what? I have to eat a little bit of my own hat because it's just such a visual pleasing style of play. Like it's almost like the girl that dresses a little bit too slutty to be the wife. I know that sounds kind of sexist, a lot sexist, excuse me, but it's like the girl that's so attractive that you're like, I can't really go for that per se, right? Like it just looks too good to win it all, and I'm starting to be convinced, man. I'm starting to believe it. Did you see anything that makes you feel like it's a done deal for the championship? And by the way, folks, Sam, can you hear me? We could do some.
Yeah. You're going in and out a little bit, but I mean, look, I think that I think they have the tools to basically like they have the tools to win a title. I think that they need to hit on some of these pieces that they've gotten. Like it's clear that this Norvell Pell guy, like that came and went. We were excited about it for 30 seconds. That's done.
Thank
now
you for
we
your
got,
service, Norvell Pell.
yeah, I mean, Vonleh came in and was like horrendous in the couple minutes I saw, but I still like that pickup, and he's someone who I've been advocating for as I know you have as well for a while.
Yep.
I think Roberson was going to be interesting. I mean, look, Roberson's basically on like a 10-day contract, and if he looks good, he stays with them, and it becomes guaranteed, and if not, it's over.
Right.
So we'll know pretty soon, and then look, then there's like the two sleep. Right, and then you have the two sleeping giants of Griffin and Drummond, and I think Drummond will end up getting traded. I think it's going to be hard, but I think he will get traded.
Well, before we get to those two, I did ask a serious question. Where the hell is Shumpert?
I mean, he hurt himself.
What? I didn't even know that.
He hurt himself in like the first practice.
Get money, Shumpert. I'm not mad at you.
Which really fuels your some of your anti-Marx takes, because that's a bad look to get a guy off the scrap heap and we're already pulling hamstrings or whatever he did.
You see New York City's. None of Nets Twitter brought that to my attention. Shame on you guys. Most of the times, if I miss something, Nets Twitter brings it to my attention, but they knew Yves Darbouze would gloat on that. That dude is not in basketball mindset. That signing never made any sense to me. And I'm giving Marks props for Roberson, and I'm giving him props for Vonleh, because at least they make sense. They make sense as pickups because they fit the roles that the Nets need. Now, Roberson will never be as athletic as he used to be. But defense is a mindset. And that's a second team all NBA player.
Yep.
That guy can flat out defend, and we don't need him to do anything else. So is there a reason he's probably not on an NBA team right now? Yes. Is he going to solve all of our problems? Probably not. But he's a step in that direction, and I'm also wondering, how bad can Vonleh be to not be getting minutes over some of these other guys? Like, this pace is a pace that Vonleh has never played in before. The level of talent and the level of ability that's there, he's never done this before. So I could see some acclimating needing to be done. But, I almost feel like I'm going to say the reason why they have these players, I have no proof or no evidence of this, and you could take it with a grain of salt. But I believe Kevin Durant listens to our podcast, and he was like, you're right. We need a big. We need Vonleh. We need Roberson, because I don't even understand how Roberson wasn't the first choice. If you were going to kick the tires on a player, you kick the tires on the 6'7" guy that could play some wing power forward for you, could come in and be disruptive against an Anthony Davis and be disruptive against a LeBron. He'll probably get injured in the process, but he can earn his ring by just doing what he does very well, right? Yeah,
I mean, like Roberson, the Roberson signing I like. I mean, I do like. Here's the deal. I think me and you are pretty smart guys. I think the fact that it's taken this long for anyone to sign him means he can't be in like the same physical like shape or even close to it really that he was, because I don't see why so many of these other guys have been signed. So from that perspective, my expectations are not super high. But I mean, look, like. I mean, the thing that needs to be said, and I mean, you're the captain of this ship right now, is like at this point, like they're all in on this year and next year, at least for the time being. Like we'll see if the other guys sign. We'll see if the big three signs extensions. But I mean, they're going to need to do some type of reinforcement